off my train. Mm-hmm. Oh, God. I had no idea this was your train, sir.
Totally. He is so scary. Hello, welcome to Guides to the Unknown. I'm Kristen.
And I'm her little brother, William.
And this week we are talking about the movie Ghost from 1990 starring Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore.
Yes, and Whoopi Goldberg.
Yes.
And Vincent Schiavelli.
Yes.
Also, Stephen Root is in there.
I wrote Stephen Root alert at one point in my notes. I was like, whoa.
I know. I was very excited to see him.
Wasn't expecting that.
We did an episode of The Netherworld Dispatch, which is our Patreon exclusive podcast. We were ranking horror, the best uses. Oh, no. Maybe this part was about ranking the scariest movies. Mm-hmm. And this person, whoever had made the list of movies we were ranking, had Ghost in there.
Yeah.
And I think for a hair, you and I each were like, what? What is Ghost doing in this list? Ghost isn't scary.
Right.
But then beyond that second, we both remembered that, like, oh my God, actually, Ghost is low-key one of the freaky deakiest scary ghost movies of all time. Mm-hmm. We have referenced on this show many times the Train Man.
Yeah.
I usually refer to him as Buggy Ding Dong.
That's right.
He's a ghost that Patrick Swayze encounters, played by character actor Vincent Schiavelli, mm-hmm. who I knew as playing a stupid character called Buggy Ding Dong from the movie Death to Smoochie.
Right.
And without any better name for him, I always call him Buggy Ding Dong. But he screams at Patrick Swayze and has some of the most stressful, weird ghost stuff around.
He's intense.
There's interesting stuff to discuss in the world of Ghost. But also, if you'll forgive me...
No.
You won't?
No, you are not forgiven.
I feel like I would be foolish if I did not acknowledge the drubbing that I've been taking for the last week.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
It's not often that Guide to the Unknown has drama.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Last week on the show, you revealed that in our Real Housewives conversation that you have a stand for your Kindle.
Yes.
And so that you can lie in bed and just push a button on a remote and it'll turn the pages for you.
A heavenly setup.
And in that show, I took you to town, to task.
Yeah. You ripped me to shreds.
I did.
I have to say, it's true. I stick with my initial assessment. I don't forgive you. You've not been taking a drubbing.
I've been getting brutalized.
No, you haven't.
I've been getting brutalized. I feel bruised and bloodied.
I haven't seen one thing saying, William, how dare you? I've only been seeing people say, oh, that actually sounds kind of good. Can I get the link?
That's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about. People seem to implicitly take your side. Maybe I didn't get any direct barbs.
Not one.
Maybe not a single one if you want to view it that way.
Right. If I want to look at it from that angle.
I think more what I'm trying to express here at the top of this episode is that I now see how aligned our community is with your worldview.
I would say
that your home bed should be like a hospital bed.
Well, I also realized I really never use it. Like every once in a blue, Ryan will be like, "Oh, move it up." That my bed can move like a hospital bed as well.
Right.
I really forget to avail myself of that. But
did you get the new Apple bedpan?
The eye latrine?
Yes. The Thunderpot Pro Max.
So yeah, there have been some people who've been like, oh, that actually sounds awesome. There also have been people who are like, go ahead, queen, but not for me.
Yeah.
There's just been, I would say, a lot of general talk about the Kindle setup.
I think that's true. I felt,
and I would say opinions are split, to tell you the truth.
Really?
It's just been.
I think it's been decidedly
commented
more
on
pro-Chrissy.
A lot.
I've been second guessing my aggressive reaction.
Oh, people loved it. Are you kidding? They thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, but I also...
There were comments where people were like, oh, I have that, or my friend has it, and we were listening to it, and we were cracking up.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
I think if you have a setup like that, you must have a sense of humor about the fact that it's ridiculous. I know that it's ridiculous.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, all right.
We're all kind of like delighting in the excessive indulgence of it to a degree, if it is in fact indulgent for you and you don't need that.
Yes, well, that's the other thing, is that it was brought up to me that like accessibility, right, is something that benefits everybody. Right. And so some folks might need the Kindle stand.
Yes, of course.
But there's no reason why it would need to be gate kept. Like the rest of people, you can't get one.
Yeah.
Unless you capital N need it or
However,
something like that.
I haven't really like dug into it, but the reason that is top of mind is that there is conversation about that there have been people who've been like, okay, everybody, these are accessibility items. You're all ridiculous. And then in the comments of that, people being like, okay, but the more people use accessibility items, the better it is for people who actually need them.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Exactly.
But I can understand from an ideological perspective also being like, you don't need this. What are you doing?
I know.
So whatever.
Well, it's been interesting.
But I want to do it.
It's been interesting. It's been on my mind more than maybe anything we've ever discussed.
It's been coming up every day.
Yeah, it really has.
With comments and messages and everything.
Kristen, to that
Very
end,
fun.
in a smart business move, which we don't often make, Kristen posted affiliate links.
I did.
To her setup. It benefits Guide to the Unknown. It benefits you if you want the Kindle setup at GTTUpod on social media.
Although now that I'm thinking of it, it was on stories on Instagram, which have disappeared. I will save those to our story highlights by the time you hear this episode.
We should make our recommendations highlights.
Yeah.
Right? Like
I mean, you can go to our, if you go, whatever, we shouldn't dwell on this forever. If you go to our link in bio, you'll be able to find our Amazon storefront. It's saved there.
Okay, fair enough. Because I think it is cool for us each to have made recommendations to people and stuff.
We did.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, that stuff should be available. We never talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody. Enough of that. That's like business. That's like genuine, like, podcaster business. But let's get to the business of Mr. Swayze having the worst daisy of his life.
Big time.
Which is the end of his life.
Yeah.
As we finally start to discuss Ghost after this more business commercial break.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Will, what was your history with Ghost before having watched it this time?
I was scared of this movie.
Why had we seen it?
That's the
so much. I mean, not like a ton, but I'd seen this like multiple times when I was a kid. I'm surprised we even watched it.
That is the big question.
I'm not even saying like why we were allowed to. It's like, why did we watch this?
I am not sure.
Like preference wise.
I know. I can only posit the following. So it came out in 1990. We definitely had this on Laserdisc. Dad backed the wrong technology really all the way. And
then he would get on either actual eBay or some primitive form of eBay. He would buy like Laserdisc lots.
Yes.
So we ended up with just tons of random Laserdiscs.
Yes. And this movie was, especially for the 90s, and even to today, this movie is so referenced and parodied.
Oh yeah.
The pottery scene in particular. I think that it was hard to ignore that this movie was like just in the public eye. It was in the public consciousness.
Yeah. Now I want to say something about the pottery scene. Call me stiff, man. I find that too gloppy and gloopy.
So gloppy and gloopy. Wash your hands, which they did.
I don't like it. And I looked over at I don't think I just had to look over at Ryan. He made some sort of noise. He was like, ugh.
Yeah. No, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
It is, the second that he sits down behind her and he starts getting his hands in the mix too, and their fingers go into the clay and it's
and it's then also like chunky at first.
They start rubbing it on each other's arms.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
remember
that's not for me.
I remember being in school working with clay in some sort of a pottery class, or I don't know what they had us doing.
Yeah.
But that stuff starts to like clump.
Yes, it starts to dry and clump and get under your fingernails. I would have really appreciated a hand washing scene before they move away from the wheel and just start touching each other to Unchained Melody. I was like, she's getting an infection.
They don't highlight it, but in that scene, they go from making the pottery to then macking on the couch, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
That it's just making out Did
It's
you
just
notice
making out and touching.
it's touching and making out, and then they cut away. This has to be an R-rated movie. I don't have that information.
It must be.
It's got to be. But
Yeah.
his pants are on the whole time.
Yes.
Like they cut away before anything actually occurs.
Well, they're not married.
Oh, so
So of course not.
so thank God.
Yeah.
But their hands are cleaned when they're by the couch.
No, I know.
So in between the pottery and the couch, they did wash.
They had to have.
There is a washing scene somewhere on the cutting room floor.
Do you think they washed each other's hands? Because I do.
He's still standing behind her. I bet they
must
stood
have.
up from the pottery wheel and together in tandem went over to the slop sink.
They must have. If they're making a meal out of everything that night,
Yeah.
they're doing the pottery together, you may as well keep it up.
Yes, I think you're
Suds
absolutely
together.
right.
That's also just more standard issue is sudsing and soaping together.
I totally
so
agree.
why not then?
You're absolutely right. She can wear him like a backpack, basically. He's like Yoda training her. So anyway, I think that this movie was impossible to ignore, but also it was called Ghost.
Right.
And so I think, us being spooky kids, I think I was drawn to this movie
I think that's the only explanation.
because I was aware of the 5 things in it that are scary.
Totally. However, did you watched it on Paramount Plus, right? That's like where it was.
Yeah, probably. I guess so, yeah.
Did you notice what the cover for it was basically, or like what the poster would be?
No.
It's them en flagrante, butt pantsed.
Okay.
And I think that's basically what the cover for it is always. So it seems to be marketed as like a sexy movie.
Yes.
So I think that I think the name Ghost was doing a lot of heavy lifting for us wanting to watch it.
I totally agree. Yeah.
It's them like backlit, like I am now in the video version. So you
Right.
can't even like totally see their features or anything, but just like embraced.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right about that. And I think that was the Laserdisc cover too, which is funny because this movie, here's the other reason why I was excited to do this movie. As of late, I have been daydreaming about a whole show that I don't want to do, which would be called So Good It's Bad.
Yes.
I have been, because I had a conversation with somebody. Who was it? I can't remember now. I had a conversation with somebody who was like, so-and-so only watches horror movies. And I went, I only watch horror movies. And then I was like, is that weird? Like, should I be more well-rounded or something? And like, anytime I see a new movie come out, like there's a new Chubby Checker biopic or something. Like, what's the new one that just hit? Mr. Dylan again? Is this like the 8th movie in the Dylan-verse series?
All right, first of all, yes, it is Mr. Dylan. Is there another Bob Dylan movie even?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
I think Kate Blanchett and Bob Odenkirk. No, David Cross, I think, is in it. He plays Allen Ginsberg.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, how many ways do we need to tell the Bob Dylan story? I'm sorry. I know that he talks so funny. It's probably fun to do.
It probably is really fun.
It's probably super fun to do these movies.
Yeah.
But I
Also,
looked.
Timothy Chalamet's press for this has been very weird.
Has it?
Yeah.
I'm mostly tuned out on this. What's weird about it?
He showed up to some premiere of it wearing this outfit that Bob Dylan wore for something that was very strange. Bob Dylan had like, first of all, he like bleached his hair and he had like straight bangs. It was just a really weird look for anybody, but especially Bob Dylan. And so then Timothy Chalamet wore it for that. He went on like Theo Vaughn's podcast, which to my knowledge was just a guy from Road Rules who's now like, I think a little, I could be wrong. My understanding is that he's like Rogan adjacent.
Yeah.
What else did he do? He did some sort of like, I liked what I saw here, but it's also just strange for what seemed to me to be like, oh, this is a biopic. This could be like Oscar bait sort of thing. He had some interview in a record store where he was talking about, they were asking about like what he likes to do with the movies. He was like, milk duds, 12 at a time, sucking the chocolate off, going for that caramel. And I was like, this is not the typical press tour that you see for something.
Yeah.
But
Whatever.
not mad at it. Really just taking a passing glance at it. I haven't been in deep, but it's not the usual.
Well, I have to say, invariably when I'm trying to describe to somebody why I like horror, because I still feel like horror people, there's a lot of people who sort of like glaze over when you say like horror. Not a ton, but it's still there. And so I usually will say like, well, here's why I like horror. And I started just describing it as, it's so creative. It can literally be anything. Like horror can be romantic. It can be adventurous. It can be every genre can fit inside horror. And because I've begun saying that, I look at most movies, like the critical darling movies, and I just look at them and I go like Bob Dylan movie. That I feel like is just so not creative. It's like here's his life.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Well,
all right.
Maybe they're doing something with it.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, I've been daydreaming about like, well, what if I did then look at all the other the accepted prestige acclaimed films that I think are probably so well made that they would bore me. So good they're bad.
Right.
And so somehow Ghost fell in our lap where I'm like, this was up for Best Picture. It lost.
Yeah.
It lost to like Operation Dumbo Drop or something. I don't know.
Yes.
And but it was a Best Picture movie. Whoopi Goldberg won for Best Supporting Actress. It is an acclaimed movie, but I personally also know it as being that movie with a few things that really freaked me out as a kid. And I mean, like really freaked me out.
Yeah, totally.
And so it just felt like, I don't know, it felt like the perfect like worlds colliding for us to finally discuss it.
Yeah, definitely.
What's your history? Have you seen this since we were kids?
No. Yeah, so my history is the same as yours, watching it when we were kids and being freaked out by a number of things.
It never would occur to me to put this on, ever.
No.
I know the things that scare me so well that to some extent seeing them in the movie for this show, I was kind of like, yeah, right, that's that thing that I already remember.
Yes.
So well.
Yeah, totally.
Like I remember them
like,
with almost like a photographic memory.
I didn't really remember a little face on the little demons that drag people to hell. That was a surprise to me. They're not on each demon. They're on like one or two. I was surprised to see that.
Those demons suck.
They have
like the shittiest effect.
As a child, scary, but as an adult, I was like, oh my.
Well, let's just say, would you now having seen it, would you recommend this movie?
Yeah, I would give it like a loose recommend.
Okay.
It's a good enough watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm on the same page as you. I think that I invariably, a lot of the time when I was writing my notes, I would just kind of be like, this is cool. I like this. It's a little confusing, the like actual nuts and bolts plot of the conspiracy angle.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it too hard. I was just like, I get it.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But when I did try to think about it, I was like, what?
What exactly happened here?
What is this? And then just discard it.
It seems like he laundered money for the mob.
Yeah.
And I know. I don't totally get it.
It's a mess.
He laundered money for the mob. He was going to be able to keep some of it. And I guess Patrick Swayze figured it out. But the weird part is that I know
Patrick Swayze seems.
He was close to figuring out, and then the very strange part. Yes, he does. He's a little like. And then a very strange part of it is that as a ghost, he memorized the the account numbers for the account that held the $4 million that Tony Goldwyn embezzled or whatever, because he doesn't. So there was this.
I fully thought something else was happening until the end of the movie.
What do you think was happening?
Well, can I just say, for anybody who doesn't know Ghost, the bare bones plot is Patrick Swayze, Demi Moore are in this very intense, yet again, pants on relationship. And then he is killed in what seems to be a mugging, but actually appears to have bigger conspiracy. He was deliberately murdered kind of ramifications. But he comes back as a ghost, literally turns away from the light at the end of the tunnel to finish his business here on Earth. And now he has to sort of like unravel. Well, really, he turns away just to be with Demi Moore. But then he ends up sort of unraveling the circumstances of his murder, making sure she's safe, and doing it through Whoopi Goldberg, who is so awesome. She plays Oda Mae Brown.
The best part.
She is a phony psychic who has spent seemingly her life conning people until inexplicably she can hear Patrick Swayze. Can't see him. She can only hear him. So there's like a limitation to what they can accomplish together. It's like See No Evil, Hear No Evil. You know what I'm talking about? The Richard Pryor
Yeah, Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder movie where one of them is blind and the other one is deaf.
Yep.
It's like that.
Yes.
It's like a screwball comedy.
Well, which makes sense because this was directed by Jerry Zucker.
Yes.
Of the Zucker brothers. We can't get away from these guys.
We can't. Yes, he was also one of the directors of the movie Airplane. And his brother, David Zucker, directed Scary Movies 3 and 4, which we covered in Scaremuto, our 2024 October month theme.
Yep.
And not only that, I didn't go back to watch it. I wish I had. Seemingly like 1 year after this movie came out, Naked Gun 2.5 came out.
Yep.
And David Zucker parodied the pottery scene, which is, in retrospect, he parodied his brother's movie in his next movie, which is awesome.
Yeah. No, that rules.
Pretty awesome. But yeah, one of the Zucker brothers directed Ghost.
The chances.
What?
Yeah.
So the premise, I think, is pretty awesome.
No, it is.
Guy is killed and then has unfinished business, becomes Ghost, has to learn how to be Ghost,
Yeah, Ghost becomes him.
unravels thriller plot, sort of,
Yeah.
but there's this romance angle. I think that's great.
It totally is.
And Whoopi Goldberg is fantastic.
Oh, man, she earned the hell out of that Oscar.
She carped the hell out of that DM.
She really did.
She was
She's incandescent.
She was amazing. So that's the bare bones. If you don't want to be spoiled, which we are going to do, we both recommend Ghost. Came out 25 years ago. The effects are
But it's really an effects showcase, which I did not remember about it. They're really
it's
going
like watching
to
a
town on the
Zemeckis.
Yes, they're going to town on effects. They're lingering on them. I'm sure for the time it was like, whoa, but it was funny to see them like really honing in on what they could do.
They did not see HD coming.
No.
They did not see Paramount
And
Plus.
what can you do?
I know.
Of course.
I know. But yeah, there's like a hard line green screen. It's like watching an old cartoon to some extent, where it'd be like Bugs Bunny is going to pick up a book.
Right.
And the one book he's going to pick up is way brighter than the other books. It's like, I know exactly what's going to happen here. The background is different from the object you're going to interact with.
Which I love.
I love it too.
Yeah.
But in this movie, it's weird because like Swayze is like, he's like cut out and inserted into shots and stuff. And you can tell like, it doesn't look right.
Yeah.
It's so strange.
You know what's weird? There was pretty obvious green screen. I watched Shutter Island the other day.
Oh.
And there was pretty obvious green screen. I don't know why they did it in a scene where Ted Levine and Leonardo DiCaprio are just driving in a car on the island. I don't know why they did that. It doesn't seem like something you would need to do.
Was it like
there was
out
obviously
the
a
windows?
reason. No, it was in like they were in like a like a Jeep that doesn't have any top or anything like that. So it was just like them and then green screen.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't know Ted Levine was in that.
Very, very briefly, being extremely alarming.
He needs to
and
be.
especially when like what happens at the end, it's like, why are you talking to him like that?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I remember watching that movie and being like, okay, like kind of eye rolling.
Really,
was it good?
It's really, I knew it happened. I've seen it before. It is all really good. And then it's just when the end happens, it's like, damn it. But it's like, it's a good watch.
Okay,
it's a
fair
good
enough.
movie, in my opinion. I don't like all the end stuff.
Fair enough.
But it's still fun to watch. Especially, it was only the second time I've seen it. So I was like looking for what I then knew. And that was kind of fun.
Yeah. I wrote down taglines for Ghost.
Okay.
Did you see them?
No.
All right. Listen to these taglines. Okay. You will believe. Wait, kind of.
Okay. I in ghosts. So I get it.
A love that lasts forever.
Okay.
Before City of Angels, there was Ghost.
Get out of here.
Yeah. That's listed on IMDb at least.
That's so weird. I feel
That's
like
like a
Ghost
DVD.
is so much huger than City of Angels.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's strange to be essentially riding its coattails with
He'll
that
give
one.
up forever to touch you.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Please don't.
no.
Yeah.
And then listen to this. Listen to this tagline. Before Sam was murdered, he told Molly he'd love and protect her forever.
That's a tagline. That's a crazy
It's listed as a
tagline.
tagline.
That's really funny.
The shittiest thing.
Yes.
It's so terrible.
Yeah, that's insane.
Is there anything even worth saying in the spoiler-free side? I feel
I
like
don't
this
think
movie
so.
opens up when we spoil it.
Totally. I will tell you that my first scare of the movie was the goddamn title card.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
The title card.
It genuinely jolted me.
This movie is such an... I think, starting from the title card, this movie is an interesting mix of all genres at once.
It's really weird. The reason that I can't like really full-heartedly be like, yeah, I recommend, is that all the romance stuff really slows it down.
It's mellow, dramatic.
Yeah.
Very mellow.
It is very mellow. Like, because it would be a thriller if you at least just cut that stuff. I mean, I guess it is a thriller in some ways, but like if you cut the romance stuff maybe in half at least, it would just be so much snappier. But really, like the scene where they do the clay thing into touching each other gently to Unchained Melody goes on for so long. Then there's like a callback to Unchained Melody where they're touching each other gently again.
Yeah.
Like it just slows things down a lot.
It really does.
And takes a while. So it really kind of takes the wind out of the sails of what is, as you said, like what could be a pretty propulsive plot.
It could be, but you're right, it's not.
But the title card makes it feel like, whoa,
the title card is,
we're in a thriller.
The title
we're
card
in
is
something here.
Cool.
Yeah.
Black screen and then ding, they just slam Ghost on the screen and it fades instantly.
Yes.
Dung, fades, movie starts.
Scare the hell out of me.
It is so abrupt that I really was like, oh my God, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
I say let's spoil it because...
I have one more thing to say that could be in non-spoilers.
Sure.
They take some opportunities to show off Patrick Swayze's physical prowess that I thought were really funny. The one that was most obvious to me was they were moving into that new apartment and they were raising a statue into the apartment from the outside.
Yes.
So this movie was made this was his first movie after Roadhouse.
Okay.
Where he's shown off his physical prowess like crazy, including those buns. And so this time he's covering it up. He keeps them covered the whole time.
Kind of. It's very billowy what he's wearing.
It is, but as you said, pants on the whole time.
Pants on. Yeah.
In Roadhouse, he shows them, I think.
The only thing unchained is the melody.
That's right. Everything else is chained up tight.
Oh, yeah.
But they must have, I wonder if they were like, look, we have Patrick Swayze. He's in kind of a drippy romance.
Yeah.
We got to give him a little something. So they're like, they have a statue being raised up to come into the window of their apartment because it's probably like they can't bring it up the stairs or whatever. And it's like, it's too far. Can't reach out the window. First of all, Demi Moore is reaching out the window to get it and he jolts her. And I was like, that's not funny.
It's not funny.
That's really
It's
scary.
a huge window. It's like a,
yes.
yeah. She easily could have jumped and fallen out of the window when he did that.
Yeah,
the jump scares her.
That's not cool. But then
He's constantly picking her up, by the way. He's like constantly like grabbing her and lifting her away.
Yes, I noticed that too.
You are baby. You are my baby.
Yeah. But then he's like, oh, don't worry, I'll get it. And he does like a gymnastic swing from the top of the window frame, like legs perfectly together, and kicks the statue so that it swings out and then can swing back in for them to catch it. And I was like, that was so unnecessary. That was just to give us a little like Swayze physicality action. I thought it was very funny.
Well, here's my question.
Oh, and also talking about, I'm so sorry. It's no, you go ahead.
I just want to ask about specifically that moment. Mm-hmm. Did it give you any jolt of Swayze physical? Because I just was like, well, this is...
It's so silly to me. It's so
silly.
Obvious. Just like it was silly and obvious where in like the first scene we meet them, where it's him, Tony Goldwyn, and Demi Moore like breaking through a wall because I guess they bought this like duplex or something.
Yeah.
And they're, just discovering new things about it. Just like they discover new things about each other. Each other's bodies later. They're like breaking through with sledgehammers. And there's just like a beat where Tony Goldwyn and Patrick Swayze are like holding their sledgehammers shirtless. Just like a beat for the abs, please.
Really?
And then they move on. And I was like, wow, this is something else.
I did catch that they were almost treating drywall dust like, like gymnastic dust.
Yeah.
Like they just both looked like they were out of the Olympics if the Olympics had a jeans requirement. What was up with the 90s and jeans? Not to say that people don't wear jeans now, but there was like There was like a focus on
there
your
really
jeans.
was.
Look at
Whoa.
how ironed my jeans are. What?
They felt different. The air around jeans was different.
Fair enough. Well, there was no
Yeah.
air in those jeans at all because I could see buns aplenty. There's a point where Swayze tries to kick a can in front of Buggy Ding Dong, and
Yeah.
he falls down. And when they cut back to
That
him
was
getting up, he's
crazy,
basically like
too.
peeking over his shoulder.
I know.
He gets up, ass out.
Well, I think there was a huge,
Very ass forward.
I think there was a huge emphasis on buns in the 90s.
Yeah.
In general, buns of steel.
Yeah.
All this.
Yeah, true.
So I think, buns in jeans were a real thing. So he's like, oops.
Oops, Buggy.
Yeah.
Oh, Buggy,
And I think kind of men's buns were a thing.
did my booty pop?
Can't you think of women being like, ooh, what a cute butt.
Yes,
Look at
I
his
can.
buns.
Yes.
So this
yeah.
was the time.
It was the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get into spoilers if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, we recommend Ghost, and believe it or not, for as much as we're making fun of the silly, the lovey-dovey cheesiness of it,
Yeah.
I think that there's some freaky stuff and creepy implications of how the world works to be discovered.
Yes.
In 3, 2, 1.
She's an old woman.
She will live to be an old woman because Patrick Swayze saves her life.
That's right.
Demi Moore lives to the end of the movie.
Yeah, she makes it.
So what we end up discovering is that, and I love this, as you mentioned, Tony Goldwyn, Patrick Swayze, and Demi Moore, they're the first people that pop up after the title card. They are also the three figures of this movie's plot.
Yeah.
Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze are locked in. And Tony Goldwyn, we're going to discover, is the skunk in the cellar. He is their false
phrase.
It is now. I've heard Rocco say it. He goes like, I smelled a skunk in the cellar. He is manipulative. He has a secret thing going on, and he will inadvertently have Patrick Swayze killed for money. But I really genuinely love, just from like the purity of like setting things up, the three primary figures are in that first shot. The protagonists, the antagonists, and the love interest are all right there.
A lot of times when the three of them were together, especially after he died, it felt like they were in a little play or
Yes,
something.
it
had
does.
this like little patter quality to it.
Yes, and I think that that's how a lot of relationships sometimes work, where it's like we're all in lockstep together. But I learned this in like a sociology class that like a perfect society is two people. You can talk, you can agree on something eventually. The first imperfect society there can be is with three people, because now one person can always be left out in the cold.
Yeah.
And Tony Goldwyn, I think, is left out in the cold of their love. His love is, their melody is unchained and he's untethered.
That's right.
And so he is without a sort of moral base of wanting to maintain this relationship. He's got their bankers. This is what I mean where I'm like confused.
I know.
So here's what I thought was going on. But I think you're right with what you described, that he's like laundering money for the mob or something. I thought that Patrick Swayze, because there's a scene where he goes, Tony Goldwyn, look at this. There's $4 million in this account that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
The money in this account is higher than it should be. And Tony Goldwyn's like, I'll take a look at that for you, buddy. I'll take a look at it for you. And then it'll be revealed that Patrick Swayze's like, later on, there's a scene where he's like, I changed the code to get in because I was just going to like kind of mess around with it myself, Tony Goldwyn. Yeah. And then Tony Goldwyn hires a mugger who is pretending to really be mugging Patrick Swayze, but really he wants to just steal the key to Swayze's apartment to go in to get his little banker book. But in that altercation, he kills Patrick Swayze. Yeah. I thought that Tony Goldwyn was like, there's $4 million unaccounted for dollars that no one knows is here. I want that. Yeah, and I will hire someone to mug Patrick Swayze, so because he changed the number to get in, right? So that I can get in and take all that money for myself. That to me was in some way cleaner. Yeah. But he does end up having these sweaty... Tony Goldwyn is a sweat factory.
He really is.
By the end of this movie, he's taking phone calls from people who are like...
It's pouring.
Place the money in these 4 accounts. He's like, do it at 6 o'clock or whatever. Yeah. And he's like sweating. So he works for someone, but it's ambiguous. And he hired this hitman guy. It's very complicated.
Yeah, it's that... They explain it in like a sentence or something. Yeah, it's that he is laundering money for someone. I don't know if they say the mob. And it's $4 million. He is going to be able to keep $80,000 of that. And so if he loses it, not only does he lose that money, he's also going to be in trouble with these bad guys or whatever. So he's like, got to get this money.
Right.
And yeah, he hired that guy to mug him because I think the code was supposed to be in Patrick Swayze's wallet. So he's supposed to steal the wallet because the code was in it.
Oh, okay.
But they got in this scuffle and the guy shot him instead.
Understood.
But then later on, yeah, he wants the key because now the code is in the apartment.
Yeah, Swayze's belongings are in the apartment. Okay, that does make more sense. But really, like, examining that at all is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Because this movie lives or dies on what happens when Swayze dies.
Yes, and going off of this whole thing of like the code, all of that and everything, I have to say, Oda Mae gets the short end of the stick. She
does.
In such an insane way. Swayze treats her like shit. Yeah. This is horrible for Oda Mae Brown.
I agree.
Because, so not only does he, he shows up, she can hear him, all that, okay? I get him letting her know, or having her let Demi Moore know that she is now in danger because he has overheard this whole plot. He's seen that the bad guy has come into the house when
the bad guy is breaking into the house when she's there, which is scary.
It's very scary. And that he's going to come back. Yeah. Who knows what could happen or whatever. But then he makes Oda Mae do something a step further, which puts her in danger.
Yes.
In multiple ways, by the way. It first of all puts her in the crosshairs of Tony Goldwyn. It also could put her in the crosshairs of the law. And the only thing he says to her is, I think you're wonderful, Oda Mae.
Yes.
Like, what the hell? And by the way, when he goes back into the light, he never even says thank you.
I wrote that down.
Are you kidding me?
I wrote that down.
Are you kidding me? So what he does, if you haven't seen this, is that he basically just wants to stick it to Tony Goldwyn. There's no reason for him to do this. It does not keep Demi Moore safe for him to transfer the money.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, so he because he knows.
Right? Or does it?
I don't know. I don't know.
I guess
that's a great question.
I guess
that's a really good question.
I'm trying to think. I guess maybe it could keep her safe because I guess if there's no need for the code because the money has been transferred out, then maybe they won't pursue her.
No, he's getting like revenge because wait a minute. If Sam's already dead.
Right.
The murder's already occurred.
By the way, his name is Sam Wheat. What a name.
I know. More like Sam White.
I like it. Yeah.
It's like Pepperidge Farm made this guy.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Bland.
I do like Patrick Swayze, though.
Found him bland, and I have something not nice to say.
Okay. In general, I like Patrick Swayze. Seems like a nice guy.
I think I've only ever seen him in this and Donnie Darko.
I forgot he was in Donnie Darko. Yeah. I haven't seen Donnie Darko like since Donnie Darko came out.
Yeah, I think that I would take a look at that too. So I think that has probably aged. Do you think it's aged better or worse?
I would imagine worse, but I could be wrong.
But my anticipation is that it's going to be because it was so popular.
Yeah.
And I rode that popularity wave the way that everyone else did. I was like, this is cool. This is counter culture. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You don't get me. I'm like Donnie.
Yeah.
Mom, I'm like Donnie.
I wanted to like Donnie Darko, and I only kind of did, but I'm sure that I told people I liked it more than I did.
Why are you wearing that stupid bunny suit?
Yeah.
Why are you wearing that stupid man suit? Whoa, so deep.
Yeah.
Donnie Darko.
Something about a commitment to sparkle motion.
Yeah. The lady from Speed is in it. Remember, she falls through the grate and she gets crushed by the boat.
Do you mean Sandra Bullock?
No, the other lady.
Another lady?
Remember that lady?
No.
Don't worry about the lady. So, yeah, what? Oh, no, I wrote it down too. At the end of the movie, he will eventually go into the light and he turns to Oda Mae and he says, I'll miss you. Your mother would be proud. And I wrote, ew. And then he stops talking to her. I wrote, how about a thank you, Sam?
Seriously?
He never thanks Whoopi Goldberg.
Not once.
She puts her life on the line. But you're right. Was he trying to make sure that the $4 million is not accessible to Tony Goldwyn for justice? No. I think you're right. I think he's like, you had me killed.
Yeah.
You're not really my friend. You were pretending to be my friend the whole time. Mm-hmm. You don't get to have your $4 million. How about that?
I think it might be that.
But in Sam trying to do this cup game with the money, not only does Oda Mae get a target on her back because she ends up closing the account and accepting a $4 million check, which she's later forced by him to donate to the church.
Yeah, I know, which sucks, except for the very, very clever sister act foreshadowing. I love that they did that.
It was very meta of them.
Yeah.
Well, it really sets up almost like, this is almost like the first, cinematic universe.
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
it's like when Sam Jackson says there's in the Avengers Initiative, Oda Mae Brown struggling to donate money to the church really set up her turn when she becomes Sister Mary Catherine Gallagher.
That's superstar.
Oh yeah, that's
She's Sister Mary Francis.
my mistake. That's Molly Shannon's character from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, let's talk about what he makes Oda Mae do. After we first tell you about patreon.com/GTTUpod. This is where you can go to get tons more Guides to the Unknown if you're interested, because we actually have a whole second weekly podcast. It's called The Netherworld Dispatch. It comes out every Monday. And if you join us on our Demon tier, you can get all of those episodes. We also have a number of other tiers you can check out where you get the episodes in different frequencies, whatever works for you. Also, when you join our Patreon, you get access to our Discord, which is like a big chat room just for Guides to the Unknown listeners. That is popping every day. There are all kinds of different categories in there. It's totally awesome. I love it.
That's where I was brutalized for my beliefs about Kristen's Kindle setup.
Yeah, okay. There are also movie commentaries through our Patreon. All kinds of stuff. So yeah, just go to patreon.com/GTTUpod, give it a look. And thank you so much to everybody who supports us over there already.
It's so much fun. It keeps Guide to the Unknown a part of your everyday. Our most recent episode of The Netherworld Dispatch is 175, The Scariest of the Scary.
Yes.
We ranked the scariest horror films according to some anonymous person on the internet. That's how we found Ghost, of course. But another fun thing that we did towards the end of the episode was there was a list of what is the scariest depiction of a ghost? What's the scariest depiction of an alien? And that was really fun to sort of shoot from the hip and be like, what to you is the scariest alien that has ever been on film?
Yeah.
So super enjoyable. Go check that out. We also love reading reviews every week. It appears that I've been delinquent. I didn't write one down. But
Okay,
it could be
that's all
yours in the future if you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Or leave us stars on Spotify. We're closing in on that 500. I would love to hit 500 stars.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So that's it. That's all.
Yeah, that's it. So we're going to have a little commercial break, the last one, and then we'll come back to talk more Ghost. Okay.
Yeah.
So he puts Oda Mae through it at this bank.
He really does.
Yeah, he makes her come in and close out this $4 million account under a false identity, which is not totally foreign to her because she has made fake IDs and stuff in the past. So it's kind of like,
and this
really works out.
He throws her past in her face.
He really does. This completely sucks for her. There's absolutely no benefit to her. He's been only a pain in her ass this entire time.
Yes. Justice for Oda Mae Brown.
Absolutely.
He's like, well, why don't you use one of your many fake IDs? It's like
he's such an asshole, honestly.
Go to hell, Sam.
Yeah.
Or you should have gone to heaven when you had the chance.
Yeah.
I also don't know that you can do this, that you can just show up to a bank and because you know the account number, even if your name doesn't match your driver's license that you're providing, they'll give you a check for $4 million.
Well, I mean, I think that she provided a driver's license that said Rita Miller. I think that was the point, that she knew how to forge driver's licenses and stuff.
Okay. Oh, so did she...
I think she whipped up a fakie.
Oh, she whipped up a fakie that matched the account?
I think so, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
I think that this movie is strange because I'm not convinced that the quote-unquote smart plot is that smart. Or, I'll be honest, I might just have been too stupid to keep up with it. Maybe she did make a fake ID that matched up.
I think that's the point. What, you thought she just took one of her other fake IDs to the bank?
Well, this movie, for as long as it is, it has no choice but to gloss over certain things.
Yeah.
I thought he was saying use one of your fake IDs, meaning just pick one of your identities. And that'll suffice.
Yeah, no.
Which none of it tracked to me.
Yeah.
But whatever. She gets the check for $4 million, which then she's like, oh my God, this is life-changing money.
Because he didn't tell, also he didn't discuss any of what was going to be going down. He just told her what was happening as it would be happening.
Right.
She could have also asked the question. I'll put a little responsibility on Oda Mae for that. to be like, okay, we're going to the bank together. What am I doing here?
This has to be an incredibly disorienting
Absolutely.
experience for
Absolutely.
Otome. I was thinking about how you could continue the Ghost-averse.
Mm-hmm.
I think this could easily be a series where Otome is the main character.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Otome is the main character. She is the idea of a con artist who is used to faking being a psychic, but then discovers she actually has a psychic ability.
Mm-hmm.
And then dealing with her past of being a liar.
Yeah.
The people that she's wronged, a life of crime or whatever. They show a bunch of mugshots of hers over the years.
Which I love to see. I'd love to know all those Otomes.
I know. But then doing the right thing. By these dead people,
She's got a heart of gold.
Is very compelling.
Oh, definitely. So there was supposed to be a ghost TV show in like the 20-teens.
Okay.
And then it fizzled out.
That makes sense. It's also almost identical to the plot of Topper, which I would love to discuss.
That's true.
Anyway.
Yeah, that is true of my understanding of Topper.
Yeah. Believe it or not, Topper is even longer.
Yeah.
If you can imagine such a thing.
Can't.
I want to talk about the afterlife now. Is that obviously I think is the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
The ghost elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Swayze turns away from the light. You have an option at the time of your death.
Yeah.
It's not even an option.
I guess maybe
he had
it
an
is.
option. He had an option.
Yeah.
If you are destined for what I assume is heaven, white light.
Yep.
It's almost like the beam of a UFO.
Yes.
Reaching down to you, and then you can walk into that light and go to the afterlife. But Swayze takes the other tactic, and he turns away from the light.
Yeah.
To go check on Molly, Demi Moore, and that's when he discovers his own dead body. She's cradling his dead body.
Yeah.
And
did it fake you out that he kept running after the shooter guy?
It didn't fake me out, but I was like, "That's brilliant." So you hear the gunshot, and then they show the mugger running down the street because like now he's basically like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And Swayze goes chasing after him. I instantly knew that was Ghost Swayze, but it's so smart.
It is. I thought that it was real Swayze. I thought he was gonna like stumble and fall because he was shot or something like that.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that it was Ghost Swayze, and then they got me again when the shooter guy. Which I should have known.
Oh, I know.
I was like, it was so dumb. I was also indignant. So the bad guy who was his killer ends up getting killed because he is pinned between a bus and a car, and he goes flying like a Pop-Tart out of the toaster.
Yes, he does.
And I was like, I don't think that's what happens if you get pinned between a bus and a car.
Yeah.
And then that was just his soul flying out, and I was like, oh. Yeah, they knew that. It's not what would happen.
Well, that is cool, though, because, like...
No, it is cool. I thought they were saying that was his real body, though.
So did I. I was like, you do, like, a gymnast sprawling?
Yeah.
Flying over the pommel horse?
Yeah.
when you
Right.
get hit by a car? I don't think so.
I don't understand the mechanics of that.
But it was the fact that his body now didn't obey the laws of physics. His ghost spirit body. So his body did end up just like kind of crumpled on the hood of a car, but his spirit continued the force of that impact and kept flying through the car, I guess.
Right.
It's cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's really cool.
And he was dragged to hell by those demons.
Yes, so that's the other thing.
The first instance of them.
If you are a good person, you can be accepted by the light, or you can choose to turn away from the light and become ghost.
Yep.
If you are a bad person, all the shadows around you, every hard shadow comes to life, so to speak, and these pitch black shadow beings moan and crowd around you. There are like dozens of them pulling on you. And I freeze framed a little bit. Some of them have embarrassing construction paper cutout faces. Some of them are clearly meant to look like skulls in robes. Like classic sort of Grim Reaper, but pitch black all throughout. And they grab onto you and drag you away into the shadows, screaming.
Yep.
That was one of the things that really scared me as a kid.
Totally.
That moaning sound is evidently the sound. I'm sure you saw this too. Yeah. It's so clever. It's simple, but it's clever. It's the sound of a baby crying, reversed, and then you turn down the pitch.
Yeah.
So it's human, but unnervingly human, and desperate, but authentically desperate because babies aren't acting.
Yeah, right.
And so it's really effective.
Yeah, totally.
Even the janky effects included. I was like, some of them, like, especially when it happens to Mr. Goldwyn at the end, I was like, couldn't they have spent another day on this?
Totally, because it's a perspective thing to make it look like he's being dragged away, but they just shrink him.
Yes.
And it happens very fast.
Oh, it's
so
bad.
It's just like, zoop.
Whoop.
It looks really goofy.
Yeah, it turns into a baby and disappears to the netherworld.
Yep.
But even the paper cutout people, they like move in such an obvious stop motion
like,
way. It's like the frame. It's like they just move them too far between frames. It's very herky jerky and weird. But that concept, that afterlife-y, in some sense, it's so understandably pure. It's the heaven or hell notion.
Yeah.
But then it's also woven pretty seamlessly with the what does it mean to be a ghost and stick around because you have unfinished business? It means turning away from the light.
Yeah.
But then they also posit this interesting thing of like, he stays on Earth and has to learn how to physically be a ghost and stuff. But once he concludes his unfinished business, the light opens up again.
Yeah.
It is like you've got two. What happens then if he turns away? In my understanding, I think that he'd be stuck on Earth forever.
I know, because he doesn't have any more unfinished business, so he's just chilling there.
Yes.
I know. I think so, too.
That's your second chance. If you want, you can stick around, do your unfinished business, and then you'll get your ride home.
Right.
And I like that, too. The, like, subtle rules of the afterlife and how this is supposed to work without anyone overtly saying it.
Yeah.
There's not somebody who, like, in a modern movie, there would be somebody who's like,
yeah, they lay it all out.
They say that if you stick around for your unfinished business, you get one more chance or something.
Yeah.
But no, they just they just display what is occurring and make it evident.
Yeah.
I liked it. I really thought it was effective.
No, I did too.
As saccharine as a lot of the movie is, like it is like, how'd you feel about like the preciousness of heaven? Like it's a beam of light and these glowing little orbs that come down to you.
I felt fine about it. It seems right for what the movie is.
Yeah.
You know, just kind of like the basic idea of what it is and like Christian
I know
stuff.
I think it helps that the movie is it's so soft, but I think it helps that some of the edgier stuff is especially edgy. It helps to make the whole thing not just feel like sickeningly precious.
No, I think that's probably true.
Or something.
Yeah. Did you ever get emotional during it? Because this is a real tearjerker movie.
Not in this house. I don't know if I have felt an emotion in weeks. What about you?
What's happened to you?
I don't know. Movies don't. I've been watching movies just kind of like, come on now.
Make it happen.
I saw Nosferatu and I was like,
oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We about done? Are we okay?
I still need to see it.
Yeah.
No, it did make me emotional. Not this end part though, but any other sad thing in the movie did make me tear up.
Really? Interesting.
But not the very end, which I would think would be the saddest part to me. But I think he says like all the wrong things, except that he finally says, I love you.
Yes.
But everything else he said like was not doing it for me. So
I have major issues with Mr. Swayze.
Yeah.
I like him.
Did you
fine.
read that Demi Moore can cry on cue out of either eye?
That was a weird thing to say, though.
What?
She can be like, this is a left eye cry. This is a right eye cry. That's strange.
And why is that appealing? Like, how often do you need to be like, and now out of the right one?
As a performer?
Yeah.
Hey, if they're like...
Out of righty?
Well, if they're like, imagine, follow me down this imagination playground. She's in a mostly profile shot. And they're like, well, your right eye is toward the camera. That's the one that can catch the tear. And she's like, gotcha, boss.
I don't know, but usually if you can just cry on cue at all, it's going to come out of both usually. It's not usually like,
I know.
I can cry on cue, but only out of left. So as long as you can cry on cue, I think you're good to go. It was surprising me that it's so appealing that it can be either left or right.
I know.
It's going to be both.
What if she could do
default.
it, but she had to constantly be like...
You can just see her neck muscles straining.
They just have to cut all the sound.
Yeah.
While we're on her tears, she needs, when you're crying, it's really distracting and weird if you don't wipe the tears off your face after a certain point.
Yeah.
They run down to her lip. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you're feeling, like, how's your lip not like quivering, feeling the tear?
I think that's such a schmaltzy movie thing, is to not wipe your tears.
This movie is Schmaltz City.
Yes, it is.
It takes place in
It's
Schmaltz
actually
City.
the setting is Schmaltz City.
Yo, This movie is very precious.
Yes.
All right. I want to talk about Buggy Ding Dong.
Yeah, totally. The ding dong in the room.
How'd you feel? Did it live up to your recollection?
Oh yeah.
And then some for me.
Yes, me too. He is scary.
I remembered what he does on the train.
Get off my train?
Yeah.
What's his deal?
Ooh, that's a huge topic of debate.
Yeah.
What his deal is.
What's going on?
There's a lot going on with Vincent Schiavelli, the subway ghost. First of all, Patrick Swayze, and this is enjoyable, the mugger guy breaks into Demi Moore's apartment, and Patrick Swayze's like, he's trying to do everything he can to warn Molly that he's here, but he can't make contact with the physical world. And then he ends up just following the guy. That guy leaves, and Patrick Swayze's following him. He gets on the subway with him to trail him home to figure out where he lives and stuff.
Yeah.
But as he's looking at him on the subway, some other guy who's just sitting and staring forward gets up and immediately clocks Swayze and makes a beeline for him, walking through the mugger, and just grabs Patrick Swayze and is so angry, just shoves his head outside of the train.
Yeah.
It's that thing in a movie of like, if it happens at like Indiana Jones, where it's like somebody's like putting your head in the path of an oncoming train, which wouldn't do anything.
Right.
It just scares him.
Just scary.
It's just really scary to do. But then he goes, like trains?
It's a funny
Weird
line.
thing to say. Throws Patrick Swayze, and this is where it's like the slip and slide physics of being a
Throws
ghost, I
him
guess.
real hard, I guess.
Patrick Swayze goes sliding on his back through
But then stops.
gets hits, he bumps into a door to stop.
Yeah, yeah.
What are the
I guess
rules?
we just have to let that go because it
I'm
has to
willing
like
to.
stop eventually.
It's good enough.
Yeah.
And then the subway ghost appears through the window, is like staring at him through the window.
Yeah.
And smashes the glass with both hands.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Get off my train!" Oh, God. I had no idea this was your train, sir.
Totally. He is so scary.
It is so effective and so violent and immediately aggressive.
Yes, totally.
And
The fact that it's like 0 to 100 in just like a second. It takes no time for this guy to be so incredibly like white hot pissed.
outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding. But now, while Patrick Swayze, they just cut. He does follow Mugger Man all the way home. So much so
Yeah.
that he's like, his name is this, he lives here, here's the information, gives it to Otome to like try to get things in motion, whatever. But eventually, he will realize, Sam Wheat, that it's very limiting what he can do. And that guy on the subway was able to break the glass.
Yeah. So he needs to go to him for tutelage.
He can be my teacher because he is a ghost who knows how to interact with the world.
Yeah.
Which is also brilliant.
Totally.
So he now has this scene of like trying to find the subway ghost and eventually comes across him in what I think is like an understated other creepy thing the subway ghost is doing. First, he was just sort of like sitting as if somebody just hit the off button on him.
Yeah.
Until he's instantly aggressive. Here, he's craning over someone who's reading the newspaper so that he, the subway ghost, can read it too. And that gets into like that sort of paranoia of
Yes, they're always all around.
they're always all around you. They're watching everything you're doing. They could be doing anything and you don't know it. The idea that there's a ghost just towering over you, looking at what you're doing. But so Patrick Swayze is like, "Hey, subway ghost,
Yeah.
I've returned."
Yeah.
And the subway ghost starts knocking things out of people's hands as he walks down the car towards Swayze.
Yeah. So these people are like, oh, hey.
They're having this poltergeist experience. And then he goes, "Get off my train," again. And he goes, "No, I'm not going anywhere. Not until you teach me the power."
Right.
And then the subway ghost mellows for a moment. He goes, "You stubborn asshole." And I kind of like that too.
Yeah.
It
seems like he does a quick scan kind of in the moment. He's like, this is the quickest way for me to get rid of this guy.
Yes. Cut to, they're on a subway platform, not on a train. And I wrote down, I have all the quotes because it was interesting to me. It was interesting to me for the movie's sake, but also for like the impact of this movie on cinema history. One, this feels like some weird Yoda teaching Luke moment.
Yeah.
So Patrick Swayze is crouched on the floor, booty out,
Right.
trying to push a bottle cap with his finger. And it's not working. His finger's just going through it.
Yeah.
Subway Ghost says, "What the hell are you doing? You're trying to push that with your finger. You can't push it with your finger. You're dead. It's all in your mind. The problem with you is that you still think you're real. You think you're wearing those clothes? You think you're crouched on that floor? Bullshit. You ain't got a body no more, son.
Mm-hmm.
That's not only like the Force kind of
Yeah.
stuff. This is 9 years before The Matrix.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
And being like, you think you're wearing those clothes, Neo?
Right.
You think that this is real?
Yeah.
Like, question your reality stuff. I do
Yeah.
wonder if this had any inspiration at all. He goes, it's all up here now in your brain.
Yeah.
You want to move something, you got to move it with your mind. You got to focus. You hear what I'm saying? And then, confusingly, this went too far for me.
Yeah.
Because Patrick Swayze is like, how do you focus? And he goes, I don't know, you focus, you just focus. He goes, you take all your emotions. You agree with me?
Yes.
You take all your emotions, all your pain, all your love, all your
This guy would not say this.
This guy doesn't believe in love. This guy doesn't feel
He's not
these
talking
things.
about feeling your love and your passion deep in your gut.
No. Mr. He could be like, all your rage, all your whatever, but Mr. Swayze could be like, oh, wait, I don't have those. I have an abundance of passion.
Yeah, totally.
If he translated rage and hurt and pain from Subway Man to be like, I don't operate that way, I operate with this, it would make more sense. But hearing Subway Ghost say, take all your love and all your passion.
Okay, so I take all my love, all my tenderness, all my passion. I hear you. That I can push out.
Subway Ghost, I'm not used to not using these pecs. Rips his shirt open.
Yeah.
You mean these chiseled abs won't
Starts trying
do
to
it?
push one of the buttons that he just popped off his shirt.
Yeah. And then this is the end of the Subway Ghost. This is what raises the questions. Sam Wheat says, how long have you been here? Subway Ghost responds, since they pushed me.
Yeah.
Someone pushed you? Yeah, someone pushed me. Who? And Subway Ghost pops off again.
Yeah, this was not the question to ask.
Who pushed you? What, you don't believe me? You think I fell? You think I jumped? Well, fuck you! It wasn't my time! I wasn't supposed to go! I'm not supposed to be here! And he flips out and then just starts going like, who are you? Why are you hounding me? Who sent you?
Yeah.
And then leaps onto the subway tracks to essentially catch up with a train that's right
Get
there.
away from him.
But that
Get
again,
away from his feelings.
another 0 to 100 of like, he goes from, first of all, I think it's really scary to be like, since they pushed me.
Yeah.
That's scary. And it's sad. The idea that he could have been like murdered on the subway tracks, or like, you just think of one of these, like, that's very city-ish, right? Like,
Yeah, like a band of kids.
yeah, a band of kids, some random act of violence, how easy it would be to just nudge someone over the side. In front of a subway train. Or, I mean, yeah, it makes me think of like the modern day where it's like, was it like someone taking a viral video?
Yeah.
To like push a man into the subway tracks challenge.
Yeah.
But then for Sam to ask just a couple of questions, someone pushed you? Who? And then that reaction of like, what do you think? You think I did it? You think I'm the one who did? Oh, well, now I do.
Right.
I didn't before.
Totally.
But now this feels like an example of a ghost who can't see past a choice they made.
Right.
Or something.
Right.
There was such a dark, scary quality to the subway ghost that carries through not only his like aggression, but also the circumstances of his death.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that he can't verbalize it or talk about it or anything. It's so good.
Yeah. No, it's excellent. It's so scary.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like it anywhere else.
Yeah. No, his rage is very, very particular to this.
I love it. How has this not been copied 1,000 different times?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's really good. I think let's talk about the other scary part of this that scared us as kids, which is the end.
Okay.
Where Tony Goldwyn is now flipping out basically and came to Molly's house.
Yeah. Oh, this
Now
is
the money
cool.
now the money is gone.
Yeah.
Now he's just raging out. He
He's
knows that
sweating and
he knows that
panicked.
Sam is a ghost because Sam went to the bank and went to his weird office. By the way, is this what bankers' offices are like? Instead of cubicles, they have heavy wooden desks all lined up with like leather tufted fancy chairs.
An open floor plan.
What a What a setup.
This was confusing to me. Sam
Yeah.
has his own private office, but Tony
Right.
Goldwyn's out on the show floor. I don't know what's going on with
I've
that.
never seen such a thing. But Sam went there and typed on his computer because now Buggy Ding Dong has taught him well enough that he's moving things left and right.
Yes.
So he can type murderer and then type Sam.
That is so good.
It's awesome.
That is so cool because he's so overtly haunting
Yeah.
Tony Goldwyn that Tony Goldwyn's like, who's there? What's going on?
Yeah.
And to type murderer in the keypad on like an old jank black and green computer. It's in the 90s, 1990.
Yeah.
And then who is that? Who's doing this? Sam. That's a choice he's making to be scary.
Yeah. Totally.
That's a weird quality of a ghost I've never considered before, where it's like, I'm going to do things that ghosts do.
Yeah.
I'm going to scare you the way a ghost might scare someone.
Yes.
Ironically, I am a ghost scaring you the way a ghost might scare someone.
Totally. These are the tools that I have at my disposal.
But like, if we saw that on Ghost Adventures, Sam, you'd be like, what is it? Can it only repeat its own name, or is it like limited in some way? It's Sam deliberately trying to be creepy. He's just hitting copy paste.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? I love that. But it sends Tony Goldwyn off the deep end because now he has, this is so interesting. Now he has irrefutable, albeit private, evidence of the afterlife, and that Sam is watching him and manipulating stuff because he made the money go away. So Tony Goldwyn goes to Demi Moore's house, and when she goes away to like use the can or something, Sam starts just like knocking stuff out of Tony Goldwyn's hands, slapping him in the face.
Yeah, totally.
And then Tony Goldwyn goes into the kitchen and grabs a knife and is just talking to the empty room from his perspective. He goes, Sam, if you don't get me that money, I'm going to kill her. I will slit her throat, Sam. You have until 11 to get me that money. And it is the identical scene to any bad guy giving the good guy an ultimatum.
But he's talking to a ghost in an empty room. He now is fully accepted there is an actual ghost here, and I just have to talk to it like I would talk to anybody else. It's
awesome.
So sweet. It's crazy that he says to Demi Moore when she gets out of the can that he's like, I have to go. I'll be back at 11. Okay, I'll be back at 11. I'd be like, the hell you'll be back at 11?
You won't be back at 11.
Are you crazy?
I will have been asleep for 3 hours.
Yeah, totally. You're nuts. With my Kindle set up. But yeah, so then he, whatever happens till then, but he comes back at 11. The money has not been returned because, as we know, Oda gave it to the nuns.
This is also just like a precious, like the church did not need that $4 million.
No,
give that money to
$4 million.
Give that money to someone else.
Yeah, I don't even know what do you do with it? Because seriously, she's sitting on something. They're gonna figure out that she's not Rita Miller or whatever.
Yeah, Rita Repulsa.
He gave her a huge problem.
He gave her a huge problem. And then he was like, this money is going to put a target on your back. The only thing you can do is donate it to get rid of it. She gets a target on her back anyway. I'd be like, hey, asshole ghost.
By the time he leaves,
I still had a target on my back. I could have $4 million and the target on my back.
Totally. By the time he leaves and she's like, I'm going to miss you, Sam. I'm like, are you? This guy has been absolutely nothing but trouble in her life.
Nothing but trouble.
And it was incredibly generous of her when she's like translating for Sam to Demi Moore. And he's like, I wish I could touch you one last time. It was so generous of her to be like, you can use my body so you guys can touch again. Seriously, this guy has been a humongous nuisance in her life.
How can you not thank her?
He has not been generous with her in any way, nice with her. I guess you could say the nice thing that he did was that he found out that Tony Goldwyn was going to go kill her and he warned her. So I guess maybe she was like, I guess I kind of owe him a solid, but also he put me in this position in the first place. It was very nice of her to be like, you can use my body so you guys can touch. Oda Mae is a wonderful person.
She is. I really think she's the more compelling. Like, this is fine for like a movie of the week kind of like plot, like, but it gets cinched up so easily. I am interested to, like, if you're left wondering about any of these people, you're not wondering about Sam anymore. He's in heaven.
Yeah.
By the end. You're not worried about Molly anymore. She's fine.
She'll be okay.
I'd be curious to see what happens to Oda Mae's life.
Well, yeah, because also she couldn't hear ghosts at all before. She was only frauding it. And now he opened the door and she can't stop hearing them.
That's cool, too.
So, like...
There's a thing, I've said it on the show at some point in the past, and ironically, I was in the city for it. I was sitting in Times Square writing, just because I wanted to be in a weird place. And I had this idea of like, wouldn't it be cool if like I looked up and there was like someone looking right back at me and it's a ghost?
Yeah.
Like they've clocked something. I almost wonder if I subconsciously was thinking about this, because these ghosts look indistinguishable from the living in this world. Yet, like dogs and children, they will just look at each other.
Yeah.
Like in a room or something. And I think that that's really interesting. But in Oda Mae, she ends up like having all this business, and it's because her office is now full of people who are coming for readings, and all these ghosts who are like, just no, listen to me now. No, listen to me. No, listen to me.
Yeah, it's a fully packed house.
She has to like control all this maelstrom of shit. That's so interesting. How do they know? How do they pick up on these things? How did Buggy Ding Dong notice Patrick Swayze get on the subway and go, that's a ghost?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting world.
No, it's very cool.
I want an Oda Mae show. I want to see that.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. But yeah, so then Tony Goldwyn comes back for whatever reason, I guess because he didn't get the money back. So now he's back and he's going to kill Demi Moore, I guess, in revenge. But, you know, Patrick Swayze is able to kick his ass because now he has the power. And the other scary thing that freaked us out happens. He ends up falling in like on a window ledge, and jagged window glass falls down, gets him in the tummy. Didn't look bad enough to kill him instantly.
No, yeah, people seem to be very
dies
fragile.
Instantly.
There's a fragility to these people that I don't think mirrors the real world.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets that like.
And there must have been I thought it was fun. He must have had some sort of like, what's the name for it? Maybe what's the name for like a blood packet, a squib,
yeah,
or whatever. He must have had something on his tummy, because when the window thing comes down, as soon as it makes contact with him, it's like this like giant fart of blood goes up on the window.
It's like a ketchup packet of blood just out of his tummy.
Yeah.
I do remember being freaked out by that as a kid, because then he grabs onto the shard of glass. Yeah. Like he
has a moment of like, but very quickly.
Yeah. It didn't necessarily make sense to me as a kid. It looked gnarlier in the 90s than it does today.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
But it was, I think, something about Tony Goldwyn. I've always been kind of freaked out by Tony Goldwyn in this movie. The sweatiness and the desperation and the dying by like Rube Goldberg machine mousetrap.
Yeah, it's very weird how he dies.
It's weird that like both of the bad guys, the hired gun and Tony Goldwyn, the mastermind, they both die. But they both die by it's just a mistake.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been Sam. He's a good guy. He goes to heaven. They died via blooper.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of gutless in that regard.
Yeah, that is true.
I'd be fine with some fire and brimstone judgment or something.
Yeah, well, I guess you get the fire and brimstone when they're dragged to hell by those janky demons.
That's definitely true. Yeah. And for Tony Goldwyn to now be a ghost, to step out of his body and see Sam.
Oh, yeah, and he's like happy to see Sam.
I could have kind of, because
I think he doesn't realize he's dead at first. And he's like, Sam.
I think because when Sam dies, he has these like visions. He has two separate. That
was so weird. What the hell was that?
I know.
That was so strange.
There's a surreal moment where he wakes up in bed and it feels like a nightmare, and they linger on it long enough that you could almost believe like, oh, did he just have a prophecy that he's gonna die and become ghost? But then it snaps and he wakes up again. It's like,
I don't get that.
Here's my only thing that I think it could possibly be. And especially seeing what Tony Goldwyn experiences when he wakes up from being dead, and the mugger guy, they all do this.
Yeah.
Everyone looks kind of dazed.
Yeah.
It's almost like you had like your bell rung. It's like you got punched in the head and you're like dizzy.
Yeah.
Like you forget what's going on at all. And so even when Tony Goldwyn sees Sam, I don't think he looks at Sam with the loaded, like, I had you killed. And I think he's like, there's my friend is here.
Totally.
It's this weird neurological, just sort of like confusion.
Yeah.
And I think Sam experienced that as like waking, like his body was trying to tell him something's wrong. You're in a dream. Wake up.
Yeah.
Until he faced the reality, like, I'm looking down at my own dead body. And then you have to now, because each of these three guys will walk over to their own corpse to make sense of this and see their own dead body.
Right.
I think there is some crazy thing that's going on in them psychologically of like a little snap or a little break to look at this, that you're dead, but you're standing above yourself. It's confusing.
Yeah.
Which is interesting that like it doesn't just become villain and hero face to face.
Yeah.
And Sam even seems to have a little bit of a touch of like a sympathy or something.
Yeah, he says like, "Oh, Carl," or something. Because also, while Carl is like evil, he's done all these terrible things, and it seems like he is also, as I'm saying this, I was about to say that it seems like he is to a degree a little bit of victim of circumstance isn't quite the right word, but it seems like he got himself all caught up with his greed. It doesn't seem like he would have been out killing people and everything.
He didn't want his friend to die.
Right. Like he seems like the bad things he was doing were all in reaction to just trying to like cover up his shit with the money. However, he did go after Demi Moore romantically, like immediately after Sam died.
That is true.
That's not cool.
That is true.
He spilled coffee on himself so that he could take off his shirt and display his abs, which is so funny. That's not a good guy move. But so I think he was kind of being like, "Oh, Carl, like you were a good guy. Like what did you get yourself into? You didn't have to do all this.
You blew it."
Yeah.
Yeah. In some way he did it to himself. And I think that it's interesting that the hero, and does it with, I think, also the hired gun at some point. When the hired gun is being dragged away, or like those the like moaning shadow people come to get him. There's like, first of all, Patrick Swayze should be like, "What the?"
Yeah, totally. What is this? I didn't see this.
This isn't what I got.
Yeah, this is brand new.
But I picked up a tinge from Swayze of like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
To be happening to you. And I think that that's an interesting quality to be leaving the bad guys on, of like a touch of pity that they are being dragged to hell for seemingly all eternity.
Yeah.
And going crazy in the moment of it. And it's really interesting. Then Swayze, it basically just ends. It ends as abruptly as the title card
at the beginning.
But the last thing that I really think is worth talking about is something that the movie doesn't bring up at all, which I think is weird that they don't bring it up. Swayze making the choice to stay is unhealthy.
Yeah.
And that's never brought up, because then he ends up provoking the bad guy.
Yeah.
Like kicking off the murder plot and whatever.
Yeah.
But he stays for love, which is not letting Molly move on.
Totally.
He is sitting beside her on the couch and holding her hand and sending the psychic over to say he's standing right next to you and he's watching everything you do. And it's not healthy not to move on.
No.
Especially having lost. There's a quality where it's like, even from like a personal safety, mental health, evolution standpoint, I love you, I miss you.
Yeah.
But we've got to move on because we're still alive.
Yeah.
And him choosing to stay is making a choice for her.
Totally. He's just dragging her back.
Yeah. And that's not brought up. Like, I think that when the next ride, the next light, when he finishes his unfinished business, I wish a little bit that there was more of a moment in him of like, but no, I chose to stay.
Yeah.
But then acknowledging like, well, maybe I'm doing more harm than good by staying. That
would have been good.
Have been interesting and slightly redemptive of his behavior, which the movie seems unaware has been poor.
Terrible.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is not good for these people. And he doesn't know it, and the movie doesn't seem to know it.
No, it is, honestly, it ends up just being, look, obviously we wouldn't want all this to happen. It ends up just being kind of like good luck that he was there and saw that something bad was going to be going down so that he could prevent it or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, besides that, if he was just going to be hanging around Molly for like God knows how long, this is not good.
It's not
Him
good.
harassing Odame into doing his bidding
is not good.
Not good. This man is corrosive.
He is. And it's a good thing that he's gone.
Yes.
Quite frankly, it's a good thing that he walks off.
Yeah, he
into the
needed
light.
to go to the light.
And then they just basically like, he walks into the light, they fade to black, and we're done. Although also Molly can hear him all of a sudden. Demi Moore can hear him and see him.
Yeah, and they can kiss.
That's right.
Yeah.
They have like
an unpuckered kiss.
An unpuckered green
just a
screen
lean forward. It probably looked weird maybe or something to pucker. I was thinking, why would you have it like this? But I wonder if it looked strange for her, because he's like half transparent.
Yes.
So I wonder if it looked weird for her to be like this.
It was odd. The whole thing was odd. I really, but then again, so good it's bad.
I'm
What do
the
you
pucker
think?
police, actually. I guess that's my problem. Because remember last week on the Patreon show, I was talking about how on that show No Good Deed, that Dennis Leary puckered too early in a kiss. So maybe this is a me thing.
You have been on pucker patrol.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Turn in your badge. Let's stop talking about it. So good it's bad. What do you think? Is it good?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
I think it's just pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it's a little rough around the edges.
Yeah, it's a little rough around the edge. More than that, it's just a little bit like schmaltzy for my taste. But yeah.
I could use a little more.
There's a little bit too much slow romance for me.
I could use a little more ghost in the ghost.
Yep.
I want a little more scare.
A little more buggy ding dong energy.
Yeah. It'd be kind of cool too. I don't even know how this would make sense. Probably more trouble than it's worth. But if a couple things happened in the first act, like someone gets knocked over periodically, and then you realize like, oh, there are ghosts all around us all the time, even from the beginning.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Even if it was not consequential.
Yeah.
Just like any odd thing
good.
that you notice when you're like sitting in your living room and you hear something fall in the other room, that was a ghost.
Right.
You know, I enjoyed it.
good.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I liked. I felt more engaged by like the rule set that this world seems to abide by.
Yeah.
In some ways, it's the basic heaven hell, but there were like enough wrinkles to it that it was kind of interesting. He's able to. Cats can see him.
Yeah. Animals can see him.
Animals can see him. He can scare the cat and stuff like that's. It's fun.
Yeah.
It was like a real playground for imagination.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was funny.
I also
at times.
liked how Odame's sisters like introduced her for her jobs or whatever.
I would go there.
Oh, absolutely.
Does that exist?
I doubt it.
She like appears from a closet.
In that sort of theatricality kind of way, I doubt that.
Theatricality and deception.
That's right.
Those were her tools.
I would say the tools of the magician.
Now honesty and trust.
That's true.
Now she has those in her tool belt.
Yeah. And you know what? That's a good thing at the end of the day.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing. It's my Martha Stewart. That was a terrible Martha Stewart.
No, it was great.
No, it was really bad. All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed that, everybody. Thank you so much for listening, watching, whatever you do. Go to patreon.com/GTTUpod if you want to go check that out. And you can follow us on social media. We are at GTTUpod, and we are also on there individually. I'm at Chillin' Kristen.
I'm at The Myth Traveler. So thank you again, everybody, for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed Ghost. It's fun to take a look back at something that was like really supposed to be sort of like
Yeah.
it's the normie culture one.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Everyone loved this.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week. Don't know why. But until that time comes, we must travel.
That's right. Back to the netherworld go we. Back into that light.
Oh.
That beam of light where there are just some vague shapes.
Turning away from the light. Were those orbs? Were those like genuine orbs that were coming down out of the light? Did you catch that?
Yeah, I think so.
Was that supposed to
I think
actually be like a knowing?
I think so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to know what work went into building that afterlife vision. 'Cause in some ways it's basic, but there are enough wrinkles.
Yeah. There was something specifically about that light thing that said that they were going off of like basic Christian ideas about the light, like that those figures that you could kind of see in the light were supposed to be like his loved ones or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of love going on up there. A lot of love. When he became his pure self going into the light, it should have just been no shirt, jeans.
Yeah,
just walking.
That definitely is his essence, as I understand it.
Oh, it's his essence. All right. So a lot of his essence.
Oh, yeah.